are the New York Knicks. I'm back. Back in the New York. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New Yorkers. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts just like winter.
New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, episode 477, part of the Lineups Podcast Network and Dash Radio. You can tell I'm tired. I'm talking really slow. I am Jay, and with me is Mark. What's up, Mark?
I am slow in general, but the Knicks have actually played a not a regular season game, but a preseason game, and things have kicked off, and I am excited about this championship squad.
Yeah, undefeated.
Undefeated. They beat the Wizards. They look pretty good. I am a lot more excited about this squad. This is, now that I've seen them play a little bit together, I think we have something here. Obviously not winning a title, but the team looks a lot better than I expected.
You know what I noticed? If you're looking at the box scores for these preseason games, a lot of these teams are playing their starters like 15 minutes, and then they're trying out random G League players. And the Knicks played like an actual in-game lineup for the entire game.
Well, there's only 4 preseason. There used to be more preseason games. There's only 4.
Yeah, but every other team is still. I mean, look at any other box score. You're going to see like 5 names you've never heard of.
I know, no, I understand that, but it's also the Knicks have like 7 or 8 new players, and the guys that are going to play a lot. You want to get the team to gel prior to game 1 of the season. I think a lot of teams do that. They play a lot of guys, G League guys who are not going to be in the league, and then game 1 of the season really is their preseason because they haven't really. I mean, it's one thing if you have the same roster from last year, you don't necessarily need it. But if you have a lot of turnover, you kind of want to go heavy in the first couple preseason games so you're ready for the regular season.
I'm not complaining. I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, no, before we talk about the game, do you want to just quickly talk about the latest from, and we can put it to bed, but the latest from Kevin Durant?
Real quick, because I don't want to be like obsessed about this.
I'm obsessed. I have a poster on my wall, and I throw things at the poster. So generally, he was on Hot 97 in New York, radio show, and they asked him about, hey, why didn't you become a Knick? What happened there? The quote from him was, I think a lot of fans look at the Knicks as a brand and expect these younger players in their lifetime don't remember the Knicks being good. I've seen the Knicks in the finals, but kids coming up after me didn't see that. So the whole brand of the Knicks is not cool as, let's say, the Golden State Warriors or even the Lakers or the Nets. He also had said basically he never really thought, he didn't think seriously at all about coming to the Knicks. It wasn't, even though the rumors were out there, he had nothing to do with the rumors. It wasn't something he was ever really considering.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's not like the Carmelo playoff teams were that iconic. The right. Ewing Oakley playoff teams, starting next year, the Knicks will be able to draft players that weren't even alive during that playoff run.
Wow. So basically, players that in their lifetime, the Knicks were never good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say
outside of the 54 win, yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty. But I get I feel like sometimes in this town is that you don't need an actual rumor. Someone just said something, other people pretend it's real, and it just builds on itself without any real rumor, any truth to the actual rumor.
Yeah.
It's just enough people say it has to be true. But
yeah,
do you think it is a reflection of, is this really a Dolan thing? Or is it the Knicks just aren't good, you're not going to attract players? And it has nothing to do with Dolan. Or has less to do with Dolan.
I think it has a little bit to do with Dolan, but it has more to do with the Knicks have just been a joke for 20 years. And it's not like, you could say it's historical and the Mecca and all that stuff, but that doesn't mean anything to somebody who has never in their lifetime seen an iconic Knicks team.
Right. Do you think if the Brooklyn Nets had won 30 games last year, do you think Kevin Durant would be on the Nets?
I think he definitely would have had to think really hard between the Knicks and the Nets. I think the fact that the Nets were already a playoff team made it a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, you have a team that seems like it's better run and they're winning. You're going to attract better players.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's put the Durant thing to bed. I think I started off last year saying there was a negative 100% chance he's coming here. I was right about that, but by the end of the year, I thought he was actually coming here because I started believing the rumors. Let's just agree, Jay, to not believe any stupid-ass rumor about Giannis coming here or anyone else coming here.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah.
Until I actually see them in a Knicks jersey in Game 1 of the season, I'm not believing any major free agent is coming to this team.
So let's. I wrote you some questions about the Knicks and last night's game. Do you have some questions for me?
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. What do you got for me?
Okay. Knicks played well last night. It was a good game. There's a lot of things. Who were you impressed with last night?
Impressed with Robinson. Stayed out of foul trouble.
That was pretty good. He got some blocks. Looked pretty. It looked like Robinson last night. Did he look like the Robinson from last year? Improvement?
I'd say improved. I mean, he had a lot of foul trouble for a lot of the season last year, and 29 minutes, 3 fouls, not bad at all.
No, it's a pretty solid effort.
He's playing really good defense, 4 blocks. I liked it.
Yeah, I could have seen more on offense, but I think partly there were a number of lobs to him that were just bad passes, so he wasn't going to throw them down, and like he gets like a missed shot for him, but it was just that the pass really was the problem.
Right, and you really don't need him to be the focus on offense.
No, but I do feel like you need some shot. Like you need the danger of him throwing down the alley-oop to like keep the defense honest.
Yeah.
I would want to see like 10 points a game from him. Is that crazy?
No. I mean, 5 is a little, yeah.
5 is a little, but I feel like, and I don't blame him for that because I feel like the pass is like, the Knicks need to utilize him better because get the ball to him, he's going to throw it down. Is he ever going to shoot a 3?
He'll be like Ewing. He'll shoot one like his 6th season in the league.
You know, like he was working on it all off season, or supposedly. Was there a point to him working on all these 3s? Like Cantor worked on them, and then like it took him like 30 games to start shooting his first 3, and it was not really part of his offense, and it was kind of why did Cantor talk about working on 3s all off season? He wasn't going to shoot them. Do you think Robinson's going to shoot them?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I always feel like he would have been better off just working on his like 15-foot jump shot because that seems like a more relevant part of his offense.
Or just the back to the basket post move.
Yeah, that would be much more relevant. Also, I don't see him shooting beyond 15 feet, and he's going to be also. He's never going to shoot enough 3s to really. He'll shoot 1 3 and then not do it again for a week.
Yeah.
What do you got for me?
Let's see. We had.
Oh, I asked you. I guess who else you were impressed with? Should we keep going with that, or we move on from that?
Morris, I was impressed with.
Okay, go with your questions. We can get back to Morris and everyone else.
I was just gonna say he was better on offense than I was expecting.
Yeah, he was a lot better on offense. I feel like he's always been would you call him a role player? He's like a solid role player.
Yeah.
On other teams, he's a guy. The Knicks rarely have a player who could go to another team and start, or not rarely, but lately it seems like they rarely do. Mm-hmm. This Morris is the guy that you feel like he could probably start on half the teams in the league at least.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's always been in a role where like he's like the 3rd banana or 4th banana. Like there's always like he's like I'm going to defer to other guys on offense. But here, really, like at least with the starting unit, it's Morris and Randall are the focal points of the offense. Maybe he's going to be a better scorer than we expect.
Could be. And speaking of Morris, what did you think of his ejection? Obviously, he was trying to make a statement, but are you okay with that, or you thought it was a little much?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was necessary. He kind of afterwards said, "This is New York. We don't take shit." I do like the kind of 90s style toughness that maybe he brings or wants to bring. So I like that. It seems a little more credible than Enes Kanter, who was it just seemed kind of bullshit. I don't know. If he's going to do that, do it in a preseason game. And also preseason game, we were playing well. So like you played well, showed you're tough, and now just stay on the court the rest of the way.
Right. Yeah,
He also doesn't have a history of being like ejected from games. So I don't think it's going to be a concern. What do you think of it?
It was a little weird, but I get what he's saying. He's like, this is a new New York team. We're a tougher team. Don't mess with us. If
Do
he
you
was
think
going to make a statement like that, I'm glad it was in the preseason.
Do you think he almost planned it? Like he was like thinking, I'm going to looking for an opportunity where some guy gets in my face, and I'm going to like.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem kind of premeditated.
Yeah, I think he thought, I'm going to do something to rile up this team / fan base.
RJ Barrett last night played 39 minutes, which is so you basically Coach Fizz played RJ Barrett like it was Game 7 of the finals last night. In terms of minutes, are you concerned? Are you concerned about the fact that he played 39 minutes? Fizz said he's 19. He's got to play. It's the same thing I did with Kevin Knox. What do you think about that?
There's just such a huge jump from college to NBA. I feel like maybe you want to wean him onto the big minutes a little slower. Robinson and Knox played 29 minutes. It would have been totally fine if he played Barrett 29 minutes as well, and maybe gave more minutes to Trier, who played 8.
My guess is with this is that maybe Fizz set it out to play him like 30 minutes, but Barrett started really taking off in the third quarter, looking a lot better. And maybe Fizz said, like, he's looking really good now. Let me give him some more run because he's playing so well. I don't want to. Maybe that was it. 39 minutes seemed like a lot for Game 1 of the preseason, but
it did. I haven't seen any other team play any other player more than 30.
What did you think of Barrett overall, though?
I was pretty happy with it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd like to see a few more assists, but his shot looked a little better than, definitely the first half of Summer League.
He got to the basket. He seemed tough. He seemed like he was filling the box score. He got assists. He got rebounds. I don't know if this is what I know obviously he's probably not doing this every night, and not like he had an unbelievably amazing night. But like if you saw this from him every night, you'd say, pretty glad the Knicks drafted him.
Yeah. I mean, 17, 7, and 3 is a pretty nice line.
Yeah. Do you think overall? Do you think we're going to be happy with the Barrett pick?
Oh God, I hope so.
They say, I mean, like first of all, he's 6'7". He's got a lot of length. He's got a lot of height. He didn't lose an inch like Zion did when they remeasured him. He's supposedly very coachable. He's a really hard worker. He's very talented. It's very much set up for him to be a really good NBA player, despite the fact I think people just wanted to give him crap because he wasn't Zion.
Right.
And he's also not as flashy. He doesn't like get everyone quite as excited. But I think the Knicks, there's a good chance they found someone here.
Yeah.
What do you think of Knox, by the way?
Not bad. He looks like he's definitely been putting in some reps in the weight room.
Yeah, I thought he got to the basket better. I want to see him. Do you want to see him shooting more threes or getting to the basket, or what do you want to see from his offensive game?
Both. Whatever's the better route at the moment. I had very little expectations of him going in because I wasn't really happy what I saw last season. So any improvement is really a plus for me.
I feel like I want to see him play rocket ball, just like only threes or at the basket and nothing else.
Right.
I think that would be ideal for his. And I want to see him getting to the basket more and actually finishing at the basket more. So hopefully the added muscle will help him finish more at the basket.
Yeah.
What do you got for me?
So the Knicks had 3 guys injured and still played 10. I feel like there's going to be some problems with this roster when everyone's healthy.
Actually, league rules dictate they have to injure 3 players every game.
I mean,
what's the rotation going to be? Who the hell? I mean, we get the sense of how the starting rotation might be, and you can guess. It's just there's too many players that deserve minutes. It's going to be a problem.
Like this lineup looked fine. This rotation looked fine, but then you're going to try and add Portis, Smith Jr., and Dodson to this.
It's going to be a thing where who plays is going to change a bit every night. Portis may play 25 minutes one night and not play again the next night. Until guys really separate themselves, it's going to be a little bit problematic with the rotation. But if the whole season's like we can't figure out the minutes, then it's been a pretty awful season. But if it's like if certain guys just really step up and guys like not to knock on Portis, if Portis loses minutes because the guys ahead of him are just outplaying him, then that's great. We want guys to outplay each other on this roster.
Absolutely.
I mean, do you think like last year it's not the rookies, but all the young guys played a ton, and that was partly because the roster was crap. And in some ways, like you want the young guys to play, so that's helpful for development. Do you think it's helpful for development now to have a bunch of veterans where they have to really compete for their minutes with?
To an extent, it depends how many. It depends if they're going to totally lose their minutes or if they're just going to fight and end up playing like a decent amount. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see a guy completely fall out of the rotation. Like, what if Barrett goes into a slump and then like, it's like okay, now it's just Elfrid Payton playing all your minutes.
I would assume Barrett. He's the number 3 pick. His minutes are pretty. He has to be.
Barrett was probably a bad example, but like Knox or
he's got just by default will have a lot more minutes. Knox can lose minutes if he does not play well, and you kind of want he played a lot last year. Maybe he needs to fight for his minutes more as part of his development. Other guys, though, I can see Dotson really having trouble with the rotation. I mean, you saw last night. Ellington looked pretty good as a backup, and Ellington's not going to fight for any starter minutes, but he does everything that you'd want Dotson to do better right now.
Yeah.
Ntilikina, you can really see when Dennis Smith Jr. is healthy. Maybe Dennis Smith and Elfrid Payton eat Ntilikina's minutes. I know Ntilikina was like a plus 16 last night. I kind of think the plus minus stuff sometimes is overrated. Last night he was fine. He wasn't all that great last night. I don't want to. People should not get so excited about his plus minus. Trier did not play a lot last night, and I wonder if this is going to be a sign of things to come with Trier, just because of how deep the team is.
Well, I should point out the plus 16 for Ntilikina and Gibson. They were playing G League players from Washington. Washington used the G League as their bench.
Yeah.
So they weren't exactly playing against NBA players.
I mean, Taj Gibson, though, is also, proven. I like him as a solid backup.
I'm not bashing, though. I'm just saying, like, you look at his game, he got 16 and 9. That's great. I'm just saying the plus 16, plus minus, it's kind of like.
Yeah, the bench played a lot better last night also. No, you're totally right. The competition wasn't as strong. I just saw on like Twitter people call it like, oh, what a great night from Ntilikina, plus 16. We can't over like Mitchell Robinson was a minus 11. You think he was terrible last night? He played well. It's just a matter of sometimes the plus minus doesn't always work out the way you actually played. Let's not give Ntilikina too much credit for the plus 16.
Right. Wow, you beat Jordan McRae.
I mean, you should beat Jordan McRae. Ntilikina, I think he looked fine last night. He needs to look better if he really wants to get a lot of minutes in this squad, especially when Dennis Smith is healthy. And Payton, I liked. What did you think of it? I thought Payton I liked his aggressiveness on offense.
I feel like Payton might end up being the starting point guard at some point this season, like for long stretches, even when Smith is healthy.
I asked you about the who's going to be the fool's gold in this roster, and I feel like Payton has a good chance of being the first fool's gold of the roster. Where I don't know if he'll actually end up being good, but I feel like at some point this year we'll be like, wow, Payton looks really good. We're really excited about him before we get less excited about him.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think? Speaking of Dennis Smith, is his back going to be a major issue? They say the back injury is a different back injury that he had previously, but I don't know how many different. It's the same back. It's going to be a problem. Like, is he going to have an NBA career?
Watch him constantly get injured and Porzingis be healthy for going forward.
Oh my God, that'd be depressing. I don't know whose turn it is. What I got for you? What did you think of Randall?
I thought he was pretty good. I was fully expecting to be wowed. And I thought
he didn't seem like a wow. Like, he looked good, but he was definitely not a wow.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's decent.
I'll tell you what I liked, and what I liked about this team generally is I don't see a lot of iso ball in this team. I see this team being like better at least than last year, a good passing team.
The only player who played and did not get an assist was Trier, who only played 8 minutes. The other 9 players all had an assist.
I was gonna say he passed the ball. Also, I expect him to be all Trier, and he actually was passing the ball.
Right. So yeah, there was definitely good ball movement.
And Randall led the team in the with 7 assists. He is our point forward. So I don't know. Seems interesting. I like some of his moves. I'm overall happy. I think he'll have a very good year, but I wanted to be a little more wild in his first performance, right?
Yeah.
What do you got for me?
So is there? It's kind of what you just asked. I was going to ask if any player exceeded expectations, or when one player who exceeded
You
expectations.
could just not repeat my question, but okay, go on.
One player who underperformed and one player who overperformed.
We kind of talked about exceeding expectations. Underperformed. I think the team overall looked pretty good. No one really underperformed in my mind. No one
That's a good night.
Yeah, I mean, did anyone you were like, oh man, I wish he should have played better? It's also obviously a first preseason game, but
yeah. Yeah, no, not really, actually.
Yeah, I thought the team overall looked pretty good. I was pretty excited about them. What else? Do you think the Knicks? So they actually shot a decent amount of threes. Are they going to be a good 3-point shooting team? And should they? Do you think overall for the season should they go with the Brooklyn Nets? Everyone shoots a ton of threes strategy. Do you think this team would be better off bombing threes?
I don't think they have enough really good shooters to do that.
They don't have They have a bunch of guys that can shoot threes though. Morris can shoot three. Not necessarily amazing shooters. They have a bunch of guys who should be at least 32% from the field, maybe 33%, if not better. But Morris can shoot threes, Barrett can shoot threes, Randall can shoot some threes.
Ellington
obviously can shoot a three.
And
Trier actually was a pretty good three shooter. Knox actually can shoot the three. They have a bunch of guys that can it's part of their arsenal, I guess. Portis, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, even last night, almost everybody hit a three, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the beginning of the game, I was like, maybe this team's not a really 3-point shooting team. And then halfway through the game, I was like, oh crap, we're shooting a lot of threes. They shot at a high percentage last night, and that will not necessarily happen in the future.
Yeah, but 8 out of 10 guys hit a three.
They should overall be one of the problems for the Knicks last year was the team just couldn't goddamn shoot.
Mm-hmm.
They were just not a good shooting team. They clearly are a better shooting team than they are last year from three and obviously from two, but also from three as well.
Yeah, I feel like it's a more evenly distributed shot chart this season.
It's almost like the Knicks were like, we can't get a star player or the star player we want or the star two players we want, but you know what? Let's get a bunch of pretty good players for every position for every spot on this roster. Instead of having, you could go with the Lakers and you have two amazing players and the rest of the roster is crap. And that probably will end up producing more wins than what the Knicks have done. But instead of having the two star players, we have our two star players aren't even clearly near their star players. But the rest of our roster is clearly better than say the Laker roster is once you eliminate Anthony Davis and LeBron James from that roster.
Yeah,
they've gone with a more solid overall roster. I wonder if do you think the second unit will surprise some teams and be a strength of this team?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the bench for the Knicks is almost as good as the starting lineup. So you have the same basically talent level going all 48 minutes, whereas other teams have a huge drop off, like Washington.
Right. I mean, that's also, we're talking about one of the worst teams in the NBA. But yeah, generally the drop off
even the Lakers, if Davis and LeBron sits, they're just okay, let's just hope we can hold on to the lead or not get blown out while the bench is in. Whereas the Knicks, it's hey, we're still just as good, really.
The bench should keep us in games or even help us win games. It should be a pretty interesting. It should be very helpful. It's also we replaced last season's Mario Zonia minutes with real minutes. We replaced Moutier, all the guys that were basically not very good players that were getting lots of minutes on our team last year, and now been replaced by guys who are just better players with those minutes.
Yeah.
So it should be interesting. What else you got?
I think we covered all my other questions.
So two non. I guess. Do you think the Knicks have not picked up Ntilikina's option yet? They have till I think like Halloween, like the end of October to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Why not pick up his? Like the thing is, if they don't pick up his option, you might as well just stop playing him, or you're playing him to trade him because does not have a future on this roster if you're not picking up his option.
Yeah.
What's the value in not next season's kind of not a lost season, but next year is not like they're not going. Next year is not supposed to be this amazing season because there's no free agents coming next year. What's the logic in not picking up his option already?
I think they just want to see a couple games, make sure he's not total trash.
I mean that I guess that must be it, but
because I mean, if he looks even worse the first 2 weeks of the season than last season, then maybe they're like, yeah, it's not even worth taking a chance on this guy.
But you're replacing with almost nothing on it. Like you could replace him with like an okay player from another squad with that money next year, but
maybe you want to leave a roster spot open in case something happens. There's always
you have to really think his value is just nothing to not pick him up.
Yeah.
It's just like with the team as it is, it's almost insane that you have to have such a low opinion of Ntilikina's game to not pick him up.
Maybe they made some calls and there's no interest at all.
What do you mean? Oh, no interest at all as far as trading him?
Yeah, maybe they called up a couple teams. Like, just hypothetically speaking, what if Frank was available? And they're just like, bye.
No, but there were rumors last year that teams were interested at least for like you could get a second-round draft pick if you want.
Yeah, that was last year though, and then he played poorly.
He played really good in France.
Mm.
Everyone loved his performance in the FIBA championship, whatever, the FIBA World. The FIBA Who Gives a Crap League. I don't know. I'm just surprised they haven't picked up his option. And you would think with this kind of season, you would want to pick up his option just because you want to make sure he'd be on. If he ends up being better, he missed half of last season. If he ends up really taking a step forward in his game, you wouldn't want to be screwed and not have him for the following season.
I think they will. I think they just kind of want to put the fear into him. Be like, hey, you better work really hard, and or we won't sign this.
I mean, that's a fair point. Like, show us something. Even if we would do it anyway, we want you let's try to say you got to show us something. We want you to earn this.
Yeah,
a fair point. The other question was, what do you think of the coaches challenge, which was used last night? Barrett at one point got an awesome basket. There was a foul on him, but the coaches challenge allows you to challenge fouls, and they found out before the defensive foul there was an offensive foul where they said he pushed off. Also, it was just insane because James Harden pushes off on every goddamn play. Every time he goes to the basket, he pushes off.
Right.
But anyway, it was like the most ridiculous call ever. But what do you think of the coaches challenge? Do you think the NBA needed another reason to stop play?
I mean, sometimes there's really bad calls, so I'm not totally against having one of those, but they should negate the time that takes by just getting rid of touch fouls. You'd save 20 minutes a game if you got rid of touch fouls.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I would be if you could choose right now, would you keep all the everything they have for reviewing, or would you get rid of all instant review, all instant play review? Would you get rid of all reviewing?
Yes, because how many times a game does a thing get turned over?
I don't know.
Almost never, right?
It almost never gets reviewed. Gets turned over. I also find it's just such an annoying interruption of the game. After seeing it in practice, I don't think it adds. Even if they see the review, they still make mistakes.
Yeah, well, also sometimes they review it for 5 full minutes, and it's I would rather you just flip a coin at this point.
Exactly. It's such an annoying break in the game, especially towards the end of the game. They're reviewing every goddamn play. It's just because they have to get everything perfect. It makes the game worse.
But again, I could even deal with that if they would get rid of all the touch fouls.
Right. I mean, I agree with you. I also get rid of flopping. There are a lot of things they can get rid of. There's got to be a way to make this for a game that's all constant action. There's so much non-action.
Yeah, I don't want it to turn into football
or baseball.
Yeah,
I love baseball, but we have a couple questions. I assume you're out of questions, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Facebook. Where's the question? I thought I had it queued up. I did not have it queued up. Do you have any emails? Oh, we got one question on Facebook. Rob writes, who do you guys think will be the biggest positive and negative surprises on the team this year?
I think Morris is going to be. I'm already pretty excited about him.
Yeah, I mean that he did have a good. I mean, I'm going to bias because based on the game one was pretty awesome, but could be
negative. I have a feeling we're going to be disappointed in Knox.
Horrible, but like historically horrible. Yeah, there's a good reason to expect him to be bad.
Yeah.
Do you think is it going to be the fact that he can't play defense and his shooting? He's still going to be a pretty like inefficient shooter. Is that it?
Yeah, if he's going to be inefficient and also not great on defense, it's going to be like.
Obviously. I wonder if disappointing would be Dennis Smith for his inability to stay on the court. As far as guys staying on the court, I'm pretty excited about this team. So I'm not that excited. I'm pretty optimistic because the games haven't started really.
We're usually pretty positive until like Game 7.
Yeah, I try not to be negative at this point. I was listening to another Knicks podcast where they were talking about they were already bashing. They were like, Dennis Smith, I mean, he's basically garbage. The team might as well, they should get rid of him as soon as possible. And I was like, the games haven't even started. Dennis Smith, who's, whatever you want to say, he's our best point guard right now. And and he didn't look that bad when he was on Knicks last year. His biggest issue has been staying on the court. I mean, obviously his shot hasn't been amazing, but like he has a lot of talent, and they're already like, he's garbage. I'm like, you can't even pretend. How are you so down on players when the season's not even goddamn started yet?
Yeah.
I think Trier is probably, if you're going to say guys, it might be a disappointment. Trier's a guy that was exciting his first year. I think he'll struggle for minutes and won't be. He's a guy you would like to take a step forward this year, and he probably won't.
Yeah.
Any emails?
Let's do them next week. We're running a little late today.
Okay. So people are going to look at them and be like, the show was 30 minutes long. How are we running late? But okay.
Yeah, we had a multitude of technical difficulties today, so it's already like
it's fine.
An hour and a half.
We'll do more. We have a lot more shows coming up, and we'll have a lot more to talk about when the regular season starts. Anyway, big takeaway from tonight is I'd say we both are fairly positive after game one of the season.
Yeah,
after game one of the preseason.
Absolutely. So the New York Knicks podcast.com. Like and subscribe on iTunes, nyknickspodcast@gmail.com, nyknickspodcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. And we will be back next week as we get ever closer to some real games.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You better go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone. Feels so good to say.